Fourth, take one.
Now, Leonard and Olivia, you've just both come back from Rome, where you've been playing Romeo and Juliet. Let's start with a press report, which talks about, in your case, Olivia, a small flat in London's Dockland, where you did the washing up.
I live in Wimbledon.
And in your case, Leonard, it says a semi-detached in wood grain where you made the morning cup of tea for the family.
The house bits are right, but I didn't make the cup of tea for the family.
You didn't make the cup of tea for the family. It says that you, Olivia, are 15.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
And you're 16.
17.
17. So much for the press. We're off. Now then, in terms of, let's start with, one of the things they always like to do is talk about unknowns and people who haven't worked always getting big parts. Let's start with Leonard on this one, and just give me a rundown on your working history as an actor.
I started off as the Artful Dodger in Oliver when I was 12 and a half, 13. I played the part for 15 months. I've done a couple of televisions, made a not very good film, and, well, yeah, it was okay. And I was in Love for Love at the National Theatre, and then I did this.
You did a tour with the National Theatre too?
Yes, we went to Moscow and Berlin.
In Love for Love?
Yeah.
Now then, while we pan over to Olivia, let's have a rundown on your career too.
I've done a lot of modelling, television work. 2 other films, much smaller though. And in one of them I went to Italy.
In one of them what?
I went to Italy.
You went to Italy. So this was your second trip to Italy.
Mm.
Now, how did you enjoy making this particular film, working for Mr. Zeffirelli?
Very much. It's hard work though.
It was hard work. How did you feel about it?
It's hard work.
How did you feel about being the stars at your ages in a film in which older people who perhaps had reputations were playing with you? Who was playing Mercutio, for example?
John McHenry, who is a National Theatre player at the Vic. He's playing Hamlet in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. There's no really big stars in the actual play. People who are very well known, but not really stars. So it was almost in a way like a repertory company performing the play, because no one was stars, because they'd not done big things before, you know.
Now, is this a way that Zeffirelli, in a sense, likes to work? Is he helpful as a director in this way? I'll ask this one of you, Olivia.
Very. He goes over the part with you, and he won't accept second best. No. It has to be the best you can give.
And that means a lot of takes?
Sometimes, depends.
You said,
Yeah.
Can you remember the most number of takes you had to do on a scene?
24.
24 takes on one scene.
It wasn't my fault. The lights kept on going out and things.
Excuses.
But this is a lot of takes. There was one scene we had to reshoot 4 times. Myself and somebody else, Bruce Robinson, that played Benvolio, and we had to do it 4 times. We did it once in Gubbio, once in Pienza, and twice in Cinecittà.
The same scene?
Yes.
Fascinating. Did you, there's one of the papers reported that you have a nude scene together after the marriage. Is that
That's
true?
a daily sketch today.
Hmm?
Yes.
That's true. Did that bother you at all?
Oh, God. I was dreading it from the auditions. I was dreading that scene. They did it gradually, though, and nobody was allowed to watch.
We were talking this morning to Haley Mills about this subject, and she said it doesn't really bother her because she doesn't like clothes anyway. If the part calls for it, why not? Do you have any feelings about it? I mean,
No,
do you
I
think the
think
scene is improved by it being played in the nude?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look dirty, it looks...
The paper
Lovely.
describes it as being chaste, but do you think it helps you to play the scene?
Well, the paper didn't know at the time.
No.
I mean, it was only shot the other day. How are they to
Yeah.
know? Yeah, I think. Because it was always played on the balcony anyway, the whole scene, from the beginning. And I think, was it Franco that decided first to do it in the bedroom? I think so. Yeah, I think it works better that way.
in other words, whatever inhibitions you either of you might have had about it initially, you think the end result was worth doing it that way. Both
We
agree.
saw the rushes of it.
And
He's very
that made you
pleased.
feel that it was worth doing that way.
Yeah.
One of the things that happens when two very young people get catapulted into leading roles in an important film, and there is a precedent for this certainly in the case of Susan Shental, is that sometimes you never hear of them again. Did this disturb you at all when you got the parts?
Tiny bit. Even now it does.
Even now it does. You've got to be very careful what your next thing is. Did you
Yeah.
feel this at all?
Yeah, more or less. It's very hard to know what to do afterwards and what you want to do. I mean, it's different, I think, if you want to become an actor or a movie star. Actor as such, actor does it theatre, television and movies. I think it's two different sides of the coin.
Right, we'll hold that there and go on to the next reel. Just about that. All right?
Five, take two.
Judging by this rapport we have with you between takes, how did you get along? I mean, you didn't know each other before you went to do the film, did you? How did you?
Go on, then.
How did you get along initially?
Pretty badly.
Stop it.
No, very well.
You did.
Did we? Yes, quite well.
Did
fairly
you have
well.
any problems at all with each other as far as worrying about who was getting the close-ups or any of that kind?
No, not really. I mean, you can't in Romeo and Juliet because they're sort of written in such a way that, well, it's a play, Romeo and Juliet.
When you
Wasn't a very good explanation, was it?
do you want to give me a better one?
No.
No? Okay.
On to your next question, please.
On to my next question. I want to go back to something you said about it depends in terms of your future as to whether you want to be an actor or a film star or something. What do you want to be?
Don't know yet.
You don't know. Do you think
I
do you
think
want
an
to go on with
actor.
acting?
Yeah, oh yes, of course. I naturally, I think movie stars are actors, but there's, in jobs, I think there's a great difference.
There's a general tendency for people who get involved in films, especially if they become box office, to stay in films and not go back to the theatre. You've had theatre experience.
Yes,
Would you want to continue doing theatre?
yes,
Want to keep going back and forth between the two?
yeah.
What about you, Olivia?
I'd like to do the same.
But you haven't done any theatre yet,
Yes,
have
2
you?
years.
Oh, you did 2 years in where? In
The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Ah, that's right. I'd forgotten about that. You were in the Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. You were in that for 2 years. So you would like to do both as well.
Yes.
Now somebody says that you've had an offer to appear in the West End together in a play. Is that true?
Yes.
Are you considering it?
I don't really know. We haven't read the play yet. I don't think so because of the Paramount and filming and things, and doing the dubbing.
You see, at the moment it's up to Paramount.
Are you under option to them for another picture?
Yes,
You are.
yes.
Do you think it's a good idea in terms of your separate careers to work together again or right away? In other words, if you become completely associated with one another at your ages, mightn't that again be a form of typing?
Yes, yeah, probably.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
Nothing really. If I'm offered a good part and he's playing the opposite, I'd take it.
If you're offered a good part and someone else is playing opposite,
I'd take it.
you take it. What about long-term contracts? How do you feel about them?
Haven't had much to think about. We just signed them, which sounds stupid, but the advantage of the long-term contracts that we're on is that we can work 9 months out of the year anyway, so we're almost free, really. We do one film if they take the option up on us, which in 9 months out of the year is very good, isn't it?
Yes, I would think so, yeah. I mean, this was something that, for example, that Sean Connery was supposed to be worried about being typed as Bond, but he had in his contract that he played another
Yes.
part in between every other, which allowed him to do something else. Personal question, Olivia. I noticed that you're at 15. That's pretty young to be smoking cigarettes, isn't it? When did you start?
What about 14?
About 14. While you were doing the Prime of Miss Jean Brodie?
Yes. Well, just before then, actually.
I mean, that is pretty young. There aren't many girls of 15, I know, that smoke cigarettes publicly.
Oh, there are.
And what do your parents feel about that?
Well, my mother says if she'll tell me to stop, I'll do it behind her back anyway, so...
Yeah, it never works, you know. I tried that with my family, and they started smoking right away. Now, let's just, in terms of what you would both like to do in the future, what would you like to be your future for the next 3 years, say?
A good one.
Look at this in 3 years' time. It's so completely different from what we wanted, probably.
Well, that's fair enough. But I
Yeah.
mean, what would you really like? You must have some idea what you'd like to do, how you'd like your career to develop.
Theatre, I think. I'd like to do something good on stage and do another film with it as nicer part as I've just had.
But in 3 years from now, you'll only be 20 and you'll only be 18. What sort of parts do you think you'll be playing at 18?
I've no idea.
Would
Good
you,
ones, I hope.
Would you like to be playing womanly parts as opposed to... I mean, this role is rather unique, and it's a child who becomes a woman, in a sense. Whereas Hayley Mills, at the age of 21, is still trying to beat the image of being a child. Do you want to see yourself developing into more mature roles
I would like to.
by the time you're 18? Then nobody will believe you're 18. They'll think you're 25. This isn't going to apply, because you could pass, I would think, for 22 or 3 right now in a film, if you wanted to play a part, 22 or 23. I mean, how do you feel about it? Do you think you're going to be typed now as a 17-year-old becoming 18, 19, 20?
No, I don't think going to do Romeo, the age I did, was very lucky because it was almost over the danger barrier of being cast as an adolescent. And when I was in Oliver, there was this problem. I'd always get put up for parts that were character parts, very young, 14 or 15. But sort of in the way that Juliet bridges the gap, so does Romeo in a way. So I think in playing the parts, we've halfway got over typecasting us as people with ages and people who are very young.
So that you will be able to play older than yourselves from now on.
I don't know.
Younger or older.
Younger or older. Did you, were there any rehearsals for this play in terms of continuity? In other words, did you learn the thing as a play, or did you just take the lines on the day's shooting?
We took the lines on the day shooting.
You knew the play before.
Well, I learnt it before.
So did I learn it before.
I wasn't told to.
You just thought it would be a good idea to know it all.
Yes.
But when I asked you a few minutes ago on a sound test to do a few lines, you said you couldn't remember them.
No, well, I had to remember them then, because it just started shooting.
Well, can you remember a bit of Wherefore Art Thou Romeo now?
Yes.
Well, just do a bit for me.
Oh, no.
Why not? I don't
This is
mean
completely
an
different.
acting bit. I mean just the words, the reading.
Not that bit. It's done so many times. Do
Oh, for
something.
goodness sake.
All right, do another bit. Any bit.
Oh God, I have no divining soul.
Methinks I
see thee now, thou art below, as one dead in the bottom of the tomb. Either my eyesight fails, thou lookest pale.
All right, your turn, Leonard.
Well, I knew that.
All right, now let's see you
I
do
don't
a bit
have
and
to
see
do
if she'll know yours.
And trust me, love.
Oh no, that horrible one. Oh yeah, and trust me, love, in my eyes so do you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu, adieu. I was always so scared of that. Those two adieus.
Did the director, as an Italian, was he able to help you in terms of inflections, intonations? Because the Italian would be different than the English, wouldn't it? I mean, were you ever in a position of pointing out to him that a certain word should be stressed, as opposed to him pointing it out to you?
No, he knows the
No.
play backwards.
Yeah, but does he
His
know it
English
frontwards?
is fairly good, isn't it? No, his English is marvellous. He speaks
is.
absolutely perfect English.
So
More or less.
So in a sense, there was never an occasion where you were able to say to him, I think there might be a slightly different meaning to that than you're getting out of it.
No.
If that happened, which was very, very rarely, he'd sort of say, instead of saying, "Oh, you're right," he'd look at what you've said and sort of combine it with what he said, and you'd think it sort of smoothed out. But no, most of the time, well, all of the time, it was spot on.
And did you look at rushes all the time?
No,
You didn't see rushes?
she saw more than I did.
Ah. Was this by choice?
You saw them, you answered.
I don't know. He just said, "Do you want to come and see the rushes?"
I see. And you didn't say that, do you?
I saw some at the end, though.
I see. Well, I hope it turned out to be a very successful film. And thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
All right.
Leave it running for the test?
Yeah, leave it. Put a slate in there. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. That wasn't too much of an ordeal, was it?
No.
You took it away from her at one point.